to officially call this meeting to order. Madam Town Clerk, could you do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Jenkins,
Present.
Councilwoman Bryant Ward,
Present.
Councilmember Trolinger is not present. Councilmember Goldman Smith is not present either. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Would you all please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Council, if you've had a moment to look at the agenda, I will entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we accept the September 12th, 2023 council meeting agenda as presented.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes for August 22nd.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we accept the August 22nd, 2023 town council meeting minutes as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. That brings us to proclamations, and I do have the first one, and this is an exciting one to me. Both of them are, but I had the opportunity to present the Direct Support Professional Recognition Week to the members yesterday at Springdale, and I would just like to read what we have here. Direct Support Professional Recognition Week, September 10th through 16th. Whereas direct support professionals, including direct care workers, personal assistants, personal attendants, in-home support workers, and paraprofessionals are key to providing long-term support and services for millions of individuals with disabilities. And whereas direct support professionals provide essential support that ensures that individuals with disabilities are included as a valued part of their community, supported at home, at work, and in the community, and empowered to live with the dignity that all people deserve. And whereas direct support professionals must build close, trusted relationships with people with disabilities and assist those individuals with the most intimate needs on a daily basis. And whereas direct support professionals provide essential individualized support to help people with disabilities connect to their family and their community. And whereas direct support professionals enable individuals with disabilities to live meaningful, productive lives and avoid more costly institutional care. And whereas all communities have a stake in ensuring that individuals with disabilities thrive through the connections of the individuals to their families, friends, and communities fostered by the direct support professionals of those individuals so as to avoid more costly institutional care. Now, therefore, we, the Council of the Town of La Plata, do hereby proclaim September 10th through the 16th as Direct Support Professional Week in the town of La Plata. The council encourages all citizens to recognize the contribution of direct support professionals in enhancing the lives of individuals with disabilities and their families. And I tell you, it was such a fantastic kickoff to their event this week, and every day this week at Springdale, they will have something special for their direct support professionals. So we recognize all of their hard work and efforts and thank them for that. And really, I encourage you to support those in the community, that adults living with disabilities. Our other proclamation, Councilman Jenkins will read, is Child Passenger Safety Week.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, Dave Jenkins, Council Member Ward 4. Child Passenger Safety Week and National Seat Check Saturday, September 17th to the 23rd, 2023. On a personal note, this is somewhat important to me now since we have a new granddaughter, and she actually now was just fitted a couple of weeks ago by the fire department for her new car seat. She's now 14 months old. So let me read the proclamation. Whereas parents and caregivers spend hours in the car with their children every week driving to and from school, sports practices, music lessons, friends' houses, and other activities. And whereas car crashes are a leading cause of death for children riding unrestrained in the wrong restraint types for their ages and sizes, or in seats that are incorrectly installed. And whereas across the nation, 2 children under 13 are killed and estimated 278 are injured every day while riding in cars, SUVs, pickups, and vans. Whereas children under 13 are present in the vehicle in 34% of crashes in Charles County. And whereas the National Highway and Traffic Safety Administration provides free online material that can help ensure that children are in the right car seats for their ages and size, and that the seats are installed correctly. Whereas the town of La Plata and the La Plata Police Department are committed to preventing senseless tragedies on our roads and reducing crash fatalities and injuries through the proper use of child safety restraints. Now therefore, we, the council of the town of La Plata, do hereby proclaim September 17th through the 23rd, 2023 as Child Passenger Safety Week and September 23rd, 2023 as National Seat Check Saturday in the town of La Plata, and urge parents and caregivers to take all measures to guide and protect their children while traveling in cars. Signed by the council of the town of La Plata, Janine E. James, Mayor, James Goldsmith, Councilman Matthew D. Trollinger, Councilman, Evelyn Bryant Ward, Councilwoman, and myself, David Jenkins, Councilman. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I hope many people take advantage of this free event. Brings us to the next item on our agenda, which is public comment. If anybody would like to speak, I ask that you state your name, whether you live within the incorporated town limits, and if you could limit your comments to 3 minutes, that would be appreciated. Anyone? Okay. That will bring us to matters of council discussion, which is chapter 181, which is vehicles and traffic.
Madam Mayor, Town Council. You have in front of you, well, I would like to say the mechanics of this ordinance for vehicles and traffic, are very clear in the memo. We made some changes, we changed some format, we changed some content. But both of the ordinances before you tonight are clear demonstrations of how legislation affects us at every level in the government and how important it is to build those interdepartmental relationships, working relationships and communication. It was only because of a last minute communication that it was an oversight on our part, where we did not see how one change in one part of the code would affect another piece and affect how somebody was doing their duty. And that was Ryan. So all the way up and down the chain, every piece of legislation is touching everybody in town government. So anyway, at the risk of being too kumbaya with that, Ordinance 2318, vehicles and traffic. The summary of the changes was on the memo attached. Happy to answer any questions.
Council, do you have any questions? Go ahead.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bryant Ward. Director Phipps, I totally understand where you're coming from because when reading the town code, it's always a reference to something else. And so you're looking back and forth. So I appreciate the diligence in identifying that and making the notes. I don't have any questions about what you are presenting to us, but I do want to thank you for doing your due diligence to compare cross cover in other chapters and sections.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anything?
I do have a couple of questions or clarification questions. Thank you, Director, for doing this again, and I wholeheartedly underscore what the Councilwoman said about coordination with everybody. Thank you for that. On page 11 of 22, item B, it talks about, it mentions roads, so these roads, I assume referred as town roads and not those maintained by the state or the county. I'm trying to find the right site.
I'm going to assume because traffic enforcement is not my place, that we are referring to the roads covered in the town's jurisdiction.
Okay, that's what I thought, but,
And Captain Norris is behind me. He can nod or.
okay. There's a whole section, article, remember my Roman numerals, parking meters. Do we have parking meters now in the town?
Not to my knowledge, sir.
So I guess my question would be, then why do we need this section?
I had a similar question.
I mean, if we don't have them, my sense would be, why do we have this in the code? And if we were to, my observation would be that if in fact we wanted to do that, that to me would be a pretty costly endeavor to install that program and to run it and maintain it. And I suspect it probably wouldn't even pay for itself.
And I suspect with technology the way it is, we wouldn't have actual parking meters.
No.
It would be some kind of, parking panda type situation.
Yeah, like in Bethany Beach, it's all little machine, you punch in how many hours you want, you put your credit card in and you're done. But to have people go around and check you and give tickets if you don't, you got to put your receipt in the car window. And it literally I saw it happen a couple of weeks ago. 1 minute after somebody thought had a couple of minutes, they had a ticket written. All I'm saying is that my question would be, do we really need this section in the code? That's all.
I believe that would be the will of the council to strike that text
Okay.
if that was so desired.
Okay. And that's all the questions or comments I had. Thank you.
Mr. Manuel, is that something that we should address now? And I don't know if Director Harrington has any input on this or Captain Norris.
Yeah, excuse me. It's something that's a holdover from a bygone era, if you will. Probably if we were ever going to go to sort of a fee box, if you will, as opposed to individual meters, the legislation would have to change also. So it's, metered parking versus parking meters there would probably require a language change. It's one of those things where it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But if we were going to institute a program, we would just have to make sure that we made the necessary changes to code to make it fully enforceable.
Okay, so it is your recommendation to just keep it in and hold it as a kind of like a placeholder, even though it's not relevant.
Yeah, it's not relevant to us right now, but at the same time, in the future, we may just use that code section to update the language more specific to our current need.
Great. Any other questions or comments?
It's a quick comment in response to the managers. I certainly understand that. And I'm sure Director Harrington is probably well versed in this. There's a lot of new thinking and actual implementation where they're trying to reduce parking requirements for businesses and housing and other, because it takes up too much space in the town or a jurisdiction where they could be used to some other productive uses. That's my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I am looking for a consensus to move this forward to legislation as presented. Councilwoman Bryant Moore,
Yes.
Councilman Jenkins,
Yes.
and I agree that it will be moved to legislation for today. And then we have the fee schedule amendment.
As I mentioned, Madam Mayor, Town Council, a collection of changes that needed to be done. This crossed obviously finance, but also planning and public works.
Do we have any questions on this portion of our agenda?
Oh, and my apologies, it also covers the fines that were previously defined in Chapter 181, so the police department was also involved.
So
fees, but my concern would be the manual meter reading fee. The average hourly rate for an employee, would that $50 cover that? When you're talking about the time to go out and do that manual reading, does it really offset the cost for us, the $50 per meter? That's one question. And then the mattress and box spring, I see them almost every day on Kent Avenue. And I'm like, $10 to pick up a box spring. I don't even know if that does anything.
The $10 is in addition to the special pickup fee, so it's actually, I don't recall that number
So
off. It actually is $35, but that has to be set up ahead of time by the resident. And so if you're just going to dump your mattress outside your house, you're not going to set up for, yes, I have seen that.
Yeah.
As almost a full living room set.
That's the question is, you know, if I live in a townhouse community and you can't directly associate with my mattress to which address, but I lay it in the street, are you going to drive by it because you didn't get $10? Or are you going to pick it up because it's best interest of the neighborhood? And also apartments are the same thing. I think we've had some instances. So it's a tough call. It's like you're penalizing the people that follow the rules, but at the same time for public health, safety, welfare, it's probably in our best interest to pick them up anyway. And I think Bobby, that $50 is probably to cover 2 employees because we probably do not
We
go
do- we
into
have to send two.
a home.
The
without-
challenge is the landfill actually is charging
Oh,
us
okay.
for those mattresses. And
Gotcha.
we're just trying to recover our cost of disposing this. We've always offered special pickup as a service to our residents who are already paying for trash. But when the landfill jacked their fee up, you know, on the mattresses, it was no choice of ours but to do that. And the challenge with, we had a previously kind of antiquated methodology where we would come out and spend 5 minutes. And then for every additional minute, we would, and so they were trying to bill back based on minutes of time per employee. And it was just, what we're trying to do is be more cost effective with our time and our effort in the billing and just make it a flat fee. But with mattresses especially, we just wanted to cover the cost of the disposal because so many people are utilizing our special pickups and we're just trying to make it a little more, I would say, cost effective for us so that we're offsetting some of those charges of sending out a crew of 2 people to spend, you know, 10 or 15 minutes picking up all of this for their special pickup. So
Yes. So
we're trying to just have cost recovery.
Not questioning the fee. I'm asking, is the fee enough? That was my question.
We certainly believe so,
Okay.
and we just, what happened that brought it to my attention was when the landfill adjusted the fee on mattresses after the fiscal year started, and we were trying to do some cost recovery on that.
Sure.
We believe we're still cost effective in what we do, and it shouldn't be a problem on the revenue side.
Right. Just wanted to make sure it covered our costs. I understand the intent.
We believe that it does.
Okay, that's my
Yes, ma'am.
question. Thank you.
Thank you. Any
Just
questions?
real quick question. Thank you. And I guess Director Stahl, this manual meter reading, I think we may have talked about that a couple of weeks ago. That's for folks who are not participating or not, you can't read it because the mechanics won't work at their house or they don't want it.
There have been some requests to not have an electronic read meter.
Okay.
In previous times, we have not allowed someone to go outside of our system. We just said, you have to have this if you want the town's water service, and you're required to have the town's water service. There have been 1 or 2 here recently who have been threatening and all of this. And so we wanted to put this in place just so that we had an option for them. It, you know, it's a $50 fee to go out, you know, every quarter and read the meter manually. We do have to send 2 people out. We are trying to find a remote read system that will read on the outside of the house so that we can then, you know, not have to go into the house to actually do the read. We're working on that, but we wanted to get this fee in place so that we could offer an option for this. It is still, you know, it's hard for both my crew and for Karina's group to then have to manually input data. It's sad, as we indicated to these people, There were concerns with electronic meter reading for electricity, where it is a voltage situation that puts off amperage. In our situation, we have a 1 amp signal on a tiny battery that is less than having a flashlight. So this is really not the concern, but some people read into this because they've read this about electronic meters for reading electricity, and they have just put the implication over to a water meter, and it's not the same. The batteries in our system does not hook up to AC voltage. It is purely a battery system, and it is a situation where even the amperage is extremely low. It is a 1 watt signal that goes out from there and is not of danger to public health as far as we're concerned, and as far as what has been reported, even in the industry. So I would also, now that we speak of water meters, just want to tell you some good news. And that is, with all of the meter upgrades that we've been able to do by turning people off and getting the meters, our reading system is now reading in excess of 98%, which is excellent. And that's the first time it has been in the last several years. And so things are going very well, and we appreciated the council's attention to this and allowing us to be able to go out here and upgrade, because it is doing very well at this point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, I will see if we have a consensus to move the fee schedule amendment to legislation. Councilwoman Bryant Ward,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jenkins?
Yeah.
And I too am a
Yes.
yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Director Phipps. And that brings us to legislation. Ordinance 23-18, Chapter 181, Vehicles and Traffic.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Town Council. An ordinance, this is for first introduction and first reading. It's for introduction and first reading, excuse me. An ordinance concerning vehicles and traffic for the purpose of amending Chapter 181 Vehicles and Traffic to revise and add definitions, to revise existing regulations, requirements, processes, and procedures, to add certain terms and all matters generally relating thereto.
Thank you very much. And we also have a first reading of ordinance 23-19 FY24 fee schedule amendment.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Town Council, an amended ordinance concerning fiscal year 2024 fee schedule for the purpose of adopting the fiscal year 2024 fee schedule, dealing with fees set by the town of La Plata and all matters generally relating thereto.
Thank you very much. And that brings us to commission reports. Councilwoman Bryant Ward?
Yes. The Planning Commission met on August 5th. The major thing that came out of that was the approval of the preliminary plat for Neighborhood I for Pine Grove, with about 220 EDUs in that, not EDUs, but homes in that development.
Thank you very much. Councilman Jenkins?
Thank you, Councilman Jenkins. Ward 4, the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting is tomorrow morning at 7:30. It's a virtual meeting. So we'll be talking about 2 proposals for Wills Park and 1 for library boxes at 2 parks in Clark's Run. And on that note, the HOA Clark's Run, unfortunately, is expired, so they've been attempting to restart it. And through some effort to some really engaged citizens, we met with former Mayor Hale and the folks late last week. And so they formed a Clark's Run Citizen Association. So they're very engaged, active, and going to be sponsoring a number of events later on this year. So it's really good to see that.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for my upcoming events, I really don't have any except for this week. If you do have an app for Dairy Queen, they are having small blizzards for 85 cents, but you do have to, and make sure you visit our La Plata location there. And then we've got September 27th, it's 24th, I'm sorry. The Chamber of Commerce will be hosting Bounty of the County. And then October 1st, the Rotary will be doing their Lobster Fest. And with that, I move to adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for coming.
Who does Lobster Fest? Rotary.